awesome. Well, that's fine. Oh, now it's good. Anyway, where were we? We were nowhere because it's the beginning of the show. Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about craft beer and video games. This week I'm joined by Ben.
Hey.
And Lucy.
Hey.
How are you guys this fine week?
Not bad, thank you. Better than some of us, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, tired.
Sleep deprived.
Tired. I'm not on the beer today, I'm on the coffee. Because, just need to pump myself full of coffee 24/7 at the moment, just to live.
We know bad things have happened if Ben doesn't have beer to drink. So.
Yeah.
I haven't been even around the corner over the last few days to pick up even a local beer. So, yeah, I just not had a chance, really.
It happens. You're a understandably busy man.
Unfortunately so, yes. Well, fortunately so, but also unfortunately so, yeah.
I was going to say, hopefully, fortunately so. I do have a beer, but Lucy, do you?
I do as well, yes.
Care to share?
I do care to share. This is from Mad Squirrel. It's Alfonso Mango NEIPA. It's 5.8%. This is from, I think, Sainsbury's. So.
Oh wow! Okay.
Oh, nice.
The Roadkill beer is in Sainsbury's for 440 ml cans. I like that beer. It's got a flavour text. It says the Alfonso Mango. I know what an Alfonso Mango is. I just want to know the beer. Okay, I think it's saying it gives a rich and creamy texture. It really sets apart from the rest. The mango, yes. As will this New England IPA, a tropical twist on the classic NEIPA base with sweet mango pushing through the hoppy flavour profile. 20 IBUs. And the hops are Citra, Mosaic, Amarillo, Eldorado, and Idaho 7. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Nice. I haven't seen Mad Squirrel for ages.
I know, yeah. They're not one I commonly see either. But seems like they're in Sainsbury's now.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder. I never really knew kind of how big they were. I'd only ever see maybe 2 or 3 of their beers kind of in the bottle shop, and this is years ago, 3 or 4 years, 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to know what their kind of scale is, and if they've essentially just gone, supermarket's a sure thing. Let's pump out beer for the supermarket and make 1 or 2 like small batch stuff that we can put into bottle shops. But they might not be. They might be a lot bigger than I'm kind of than I think they are.
Well, I think you're right, because for ages I only really saw their cans now and then, and even then it was like in 330 ml cans.
Yeah.
440. So yeah, it'd be interesting to look. They're in Hertfordshire, so quite a lot of breweries in Hertfordshire. On to research.
I've got just an English Pale Ale from Quantock Brewery called Somerset Levels. It's just a nice 3.8% for this afternoon. And it's one of the Flavourly beers. So Quantock's Flavourly exclusive. In our latest...
Yeah. No, I was just about to say I got a Bruiser box from them one time, so I enjoyed their beers.
In our latest exclusive series for our good friends at Flavourly, we've decided to celebrate our stunning Somerset, the birthplace of Quantock Brewery and many exquisite points of interest. Somerset Levels, the mystical yet picturesque wetlands, this beer hosts our house pale base, a neutral yeast, and epic English hops, giving flavours and aromas of orange and citrus, with a subtle note of blackcurrant, unfined and unfiltered. And it doesn't say... Oh yeah, and the hops are Admirable and Mystic. No word on the yeast. But it's neutral, so who cares? While I was rambling, I'm assuming you've had time to pour and settle, Lucy? Actually, Ben, how was your coffee?
Bang average, mate.
It's not Blue Mountain coffee.
No, mate, I'm drinking so much coffee at the moment. I've just opted for cheap instant stuff, just because of the time it takes to brew on the stove, something a little bit nicer. I haven't got any beans in at the moment. I've got a few bags of ground, fresh ground in, but that I might treat myself kind of if it's, if the day's going well and it hits around about this time and everyone's kind of settled and nice, I might treat myself to a nicer coffee. But at the moment, it's just cheap and cheerful for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep, understandable. Mine. I'm glad we had this small tangent on coffee because mine. Yeah, it was like 3 times this.
Yeah, I did see when you poured it and you sort of hid it over there.
It poured it a lot, but just really massive like bubbles in the head, like very very foamy. It looks like surf from the ocean or something like that. It's massive, but like it's just a solid block of yellow, really. But it looks nice. Smell. As soon as I cracked the can, you could smell that mango. So they haven't held back in that regard. You can still smell it on the nose. It smells delightful. It smells not quite like, a fresh mango, especially an Alfonso one, but getting close to that, it's got that very sweet nose to it.
Excellent.
Doesn't carry over as such in the taste, though, which is interesting. Maybe it's my palate. It is a bit cold and brush my teeth because that's when my day starts. At 2 o'clock after I finish work, that's when I can start putting myself together like a normal person.
What? Put yourself together? Nah, mate. Live in perpetual filth at the moment.
Barely, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, what was it, 5.8%? Yeah. It feels lighter, a little bit lighter than that. Not in the alcohol strength, because getting a little bit of alcohol burn, especially because early in the day, maybe I'm just not, my body's not prepared for it. But in terms of the body, even though it looks like a solid block of colour, it feels a bit thinner than I'd expect.
Okay.
I've just poured in the rest of the can, and I can see the yeast at the bottom there. So maybe that'll once I stir it up a bit, maybe that'll add a bit to the body and the flavour a bit. I'm going to sit on this one just because it's a bit cold, like that. The yeast do its thing. So, but so far it's got a nice bitterness to it. I know that. Maybe not as much fruit as I'd expect, but I'm going to wait and see if that comes to the fore a little bit later. So come back to me on this. Maybe after Aadil's spoken about it.
Fair enough. My standard English pale ale poured also pretty fierce. So you can see probably on the glass just how high the top, some suds still there. So I was, you're wearing good company, Lucy. It has a lovely, almost stone fruit undertoned citrus on the nose, like a nice peaky citrus, but just a little extra stone fruit there, and some nice sweetness, like tangerine. I think they said orange and citrus, which I always laugh because I just assume orange is citrus, but obviously, what they're trying to say. Not much else on the nose though, but just nice and clean. I mean, it's an English pale, so it's more aromatic than most, I would say.
Interesting. It's quite clear.
Oh yeah.
Well. So it seems to have a little bit of haze to it.
Yeah, it's got some haze, but I mean, with the light shining on it, you could think it's a lager. Like in situ, I think I'm a little more orange on camera than this is much more like straw goldy in color over in person. But yeah, like I can see through it, but there is a haze, so it's not like it's not just distortion. It's also something making it more translucent, less translucent. Less opaque. There we go.
Yeah.
I meant more opaque. Anyway, I've been staring at opacity sliders for the past 3 days because I've been editing the headshots that I did a couple weeks ago because I got sidetracked by COVID and it's just catching up with work. and I no longer know what opacity is, apparently. You know when you stare at something so long? I'll get to the beer in a second. Also the medication is clearly working on the ADHD. But like I had honestly had things finished, and I was like, no, I've been staring at this so long, I have no idea if this is like over. Because like one thing I don't want to do for like headshots is I want like to clean up skin tone and like blemishes, the stuff people expect, but I don't want it to look fake. I'm not gonna get rid of all the things. I'm gonna get rid of some of the stuff, and thankfully, everything you do in Photoshop basically has an opacity slider, so you can kind of like you can do something really crazy and like do the worst airbrushing job possible that people would lament you for, but then make it opacity 10% and it turns out it's great. But between like the 17 layers I'm working on, I was just like, I don't know. Do people even want like highlights on their skin? No, probably not. This is all trash. Maybe I have to restart. And there's like, no, just come back tomorrow. It's like, oh no, you're fine. It's a little more fashion portrait than headshot, but it looks good. It's fine. Shut up.
Nice.
Stop your brain. Anyway, this is a very good English pale.
Good.
It does exactly what it says. I mean, what I like is that this is not a craft beer in the sense that like it's not so out of left field for the variety that people would complain. Like you could easily have this at a pub, and the average person would be like, yes, cool, I'm in England, I wanted a pale ale, I got a pale ale. But it's got depth of flavor. It's got like the same sort of lines that are in the nose, less the stone fruit, although it's there kind of right at the bottom of the taste, but more of that orange little sweetness. So I say orange and tangerine, like it's a couple of different orange notes, and then a nice little peak of sweetness, just to make it more characterful than like this is a standard English pale. So it's really nice. This is like I wish I was just like having to do marking or reading or something outside in the garden with this beer. Like not it's sunny and I want to relax. Like just give me something like, but just like I'm taking it easy, but still having to work. It's that kind of like very good, solid, but slightly summery.
Something that can sit as well, and you'll slowly sup away rather than you're trying to quench your thirst constantly because it's so hot out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit.
Oh no.
It's also incredibly bad to pour. I thought it had calmed down. We got that on the internet for the rest of the time. Lucy.
Whilst you're getting cleaned up, I'll talk about how I feel about this. The mango is still pretty subdued. It's not as much as I'd expect given the aroma. But it's definitely better now that I pulled the rest of the can in there because the body, it's got a nice bit of body. It's got that smooth texture, bit creamy, and it's got a nice bit of pine to it. So that and the bitterness, it just marry so well. And a little bit of fruit at the beginning. It's not quite a full-on juice bomb that you expect from, I don't know, maybe a Cloud War or something like that. But I think, especially if they're doing it at scale, and for it to even taste this much of mango is like quite a feat, to be honest. Because it could have just been something so wishy-washy and just something completely lost. But it's definitely got the flavour to it. So
good.
That's great.
Much better than first impressions. Nice, yeah. I think out of like all the supermarket beers, I'd say these are pretty good. But yeah.
I was expecting a little more. You're like, out of all the supermarket beers, these are pretty good. Is such a wonderful statement.
I mean, you know what you're getting when you usually buy something from the supermarket.
Yes.
It's going to be, mass produced. Probably the quality's not as, it's probably not going to be as fresh or, as hoppy or as juicy or something like that. But these are decent. You would always wish it was a bit more in terms of a bit more flavour, like hitting me. But it's okay. It's well balanced enough. It's nice. And for 5.8%, don't know how much it costs to be honest, but you're doing all right getting this.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to non-beer things?
Yeah.
Now, I think we've all played a certain game. Were there anything else? Ben, you got... you've not been around as much, obviously, but do you have anything? Yeah, okay.
Nope.
Cool.
I played one game.
Did you finish that game?
I did finish that game.
Oh, dang!
Yes.
I've only played 2.5 hours of it.
I think I've played about that as well.
And my 2.5 hours were on stream, so it's probably like the first hour, because I was... just in case you haven't figured out, we all played Stray, finally. The game where you cat about being a cat, but also cyberpunk. Ben, why don't you give us a quick rundown of it, especially seeing as you've played other bits that we haven't, and then we'll see where the conversation takes us.
So Stray, as I said, you play as a cat. Most people will have probably seen something of this. It came out day and date as a PlayStation Plus extra game, which is why I played it so sort of quickly. I think you guys are playing over Steam instead.
Yeah, on Steam Deck, and I heard scuttlebutt that it doesn't run too well this time or whatever. I played it, and while I launched into it, I was just like, it's really good right off the bat. I didn't even bother to change any settings.
Nice.
Okay, is there anti-aliasing in this? No, it's not, but maybe it could have done with that, but it isn't in there, so I was just like, okay, I'll just leave everything as it is. Texture quality on high and this and that. Motion blur I think I turned down because that's just me. But yeah, it runs perfectly. So.
Nice.
Steam Deck approved.
And again, I'm playing on PlayStation 4, and it's a PS4, PS5 game, and it looks good. I haven't noticed any issues. It runs really well on the PS4. It's not a massively intense game. It's only small. I think maybe your kind of 2.5 hours is, if you've got through 2.5 hours, it's about a third of the way through. Maybe this is maybe about an 8 hour, maybe a 10-hour game.
I sensed it was quite short when I picked up a collectible and it said 1 a date, and I was like, oh.
Yes. That was the music
I've collected
notes,
4 of it, yeah. And I was like, perfect.
But those are, I assume those are like maybe just all in that one area?
Not to spoil too much, yes. And you work through different chapters and you go to different areas, and there's no backtracking. It's very linear, even though it's quite open in the, when you're in an area, it's a nice sized open area for you to explore. And that is kind of the main crux of the game. It's just lots of exploration. It's moving through the world
as a cat.
Very, very well as a cat. The one thing that this game does incredibly well is that motion, that movement of being a cat, that feel of how a cat would jump between various objects, how they rub themselves up against the robots, and how they even there's spaces for you as the cat to lie down and have a little nap, and the way that the cat just like curls up into a sort of a little into a little space surrounded by some cushions and stuff. Loads of that animation looks really, really good. The world is a good place to explore. There's lots of verticality. It's quite big. There's lots of little kind of interactions which will open other things up for you. So like a very early one, there's some robots chucking paint cans to each other on the top of a roof.
Yeah.
And they're like, we just like chucking paint cans to each other because it's fun. I'm like, all right, okay, fine. And you meow at the right time, and he'll drop the paint can. It will smash on the ground below, and a robot will come out of his front door, which is directly where the paint has splattered, and start cleaning it. And that's the only access you have to that room. You have to do that.
It's a puzzle-ish
to be able to get it. It's slightly puzzle-ish, yes. Yeah. But it's more kind of, there's a few little interactions that you can do for a little bit of an extended exploration. And you also find a friend, a little robot, and the robot helps you kind of navigate the world.
Vitamin B12? Yeah.
Yep. Sits within this, well, And it's interesting, it's called B12 because the studio that made it is called Blue 12.
Yeah, I assumed that it
so
wasn't
like,
the vitamin, but...
Yeah, but also it's kind of, we're helping you through the world. What should we call this little robot? I don't know. Well, we're kind of helping them through the world, so let's just name it after us.
I was going to say, speaking of going through the world, just to interrupt the general description, because one of the things that I couldn't... So, what makes this game is that you're going through similar like cityscapes and stuff in an open-ish world, but as a cat, and the access you have is very different.
Yes.
But I've now sidetracked myself. What I was going to say is, going through the world, what I really, really enjoyed was that as soon as you descend into the Undercity place, and you have to go, and there's like a consistent, you have to go find help, basically, and this is your route to getting, and ending up getting B12, but there's some very obvious markers of, like, there's a TV screen with a like white icon of a cat on a black background that says follow or I'll help or something like that, and arrows. But for that first chunk of the game, after you are just catting about with your cat pals and you then don't get to do that anymore because you're separated from them, the whole level is very dark earth tones, mostly grays and browns, and the path you need to take is consistently lit up by yellows, reds, and oranges, whether they're glowing signs or just an arrow or a poster on a wall. That's always the way you need to go. And I thought it was
such a video game.
It's such a good video
of the last 10 years.
But like, it just worked really well in this because you have a linear path, and it trained, and they would blink off when you would get to them. But then when you were first chased by the head crabs, the bad thing, zergs,
yeah, something like that.
You now have to sprint forward, and there's a couple places where it's like, oh, do I go left or right? And it's like, oh, there's an orange sign, and you've done the good. But I've never.
The signposting's really clear.
Yeah, it's very
good audio cues as well. So
yeah, I just thought that was for such I'm just a cat wandering a world. I thought it was really good signposting before they gave you the robot, and then allows you to do a little more.
There's a little interesting part that comes up later on, and I fell foul to it. I don't know whether many people will, but the game does very well at signposting. And you go to a later area where, as you're walking, you've been somewhere, you've been asked to get something, you leave, and when you get back, it looks like it's been blocked off. And you're like, oh, okay, do I need to find a different way? And just where the barrier is, there's an alley to the side, and there's this big blue neon arrow which points down and into the wall. And I'm like, that's clearly where I've got to go. So I went on over, and I must have sat there for 5 minutes looking for some way to get kind of around the barrier, round the back to where I was kind of meant to be going. I'm like, this isn't working. I'm absolutely missing something. So I went back to the barrier, and I just walked through it. Like, it's not. It's a barrier for robots. It ain't a barrier for cats. The cat can just walk straight fucking through it. No one gives a shit whether there's a cat here or not. Bollocks! I just wasted like 5 minutes going. It must be the arrow over there, because they'd done so well previously at signposting everything. I started picking up on other bits. Like, here it is.
That's really funny.
But the B12 kind of helps explain a little bit of the world to you. And one of the collectibles is memories. Yeah. And some of them are very easy to find. I thought in a later area that I'd done a ton of exploration, but I missed a big chunk of these memories as I was going through. So I obviously didn't explore as well or as much as I thought I had done. And it's kind of the whole idea of the game is essentially just to explore. You know, as you say, Aadil, you're the cat. You're trying to escape the kind of the city that you've fallen into, and to get through that. But the only way you can do that is by exploring, by helping the robots out, who might then say, "Aha, let's move you onto this area, or let's do this," without getting too deep into the story itself.
It's very adventure gamey in side quests that are mostly find these things, get 4 notebooks.
I very much likened it to just Uncharted. It's like it's very on rails, like very simple platforming. There's real sense of danger, like with the Zerks get you, the enemies in the game get you. It's just like, okay, retry, and just it just reminds me of Uncharted in the sense of that you're just there being a tourist, looking at the very nice,
Yes.
That's a good way of putting
environments
it.
and the
Yeah.
cityscape that they've built. Because I absolutely love the look of the game. The cyberpunk. This is a post-apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic kind of setting. Robots have taken on for the humans, and the robots are in their own set of crap. And it's like, you're trying to escape the slums and try and ascend to what used to be Earth. In blue skies up there, sort of in like a Matrix kind of thing. But you touched on it briefly. Then, like the animation, I think it's sublime. Like the robots and the cat. I mean, I want to know which cat was motion captured for this. But yeah, just even the robots as well. They tell the story because with the dialogue interactions and the story overall, it's not really anything new. It's not really anything quite interesting, like a new take on this cyberpunk genre. But just the animations, they tell their own story, and that really envelops you in the world, and that's what I love about this game. And yeah, I love how like detailed like the rooms are in all these robots' houses, and how interconnected this kind of like, I guess it's like sort of like Kowloon-esque slum, is. And it's just, that's what reminds me of like Uncharted, like those very small dioramas in like Nate's house and stuff like that, where it's like so detailed and looks lived in. So yeah, this game is all about just, it's very, pedestrian what you're doing, I guess. It's just, you're just there for the ride and to be a tourist, but it's what you're seeing, because it looks really good even on Steam Deck. So I can't wait to like get it up on my actual computer and just look around, maybe download a Garfield mod or something like that, and just, but yeah, it's
CJ.
Yeah, because it's like some games it's just like, okay, I know the critical path, I know where to go, I know what I'm doing. The puzzles are very simple. As you say, the gameplay's very well signposted, so you know where you're going. But it's just, I want to look around at, not because I'm going to find any collectibles or anything, although you will, according to you, Ben, like, you missed a lot, even though you explored a lot. But it's just a case of, I just want to drink in this world and be in this world. So,
yeah. I mean,
that's my take on it.
That's also sort of, I mean, again, I'm only a couple hours in, and again, probably less than that, given how much I was just wandering around and enjoying that. And that's actually the only thing that sort of bummed me out about the game so far is that the adventure fetch questy stuff feels like B12 especially, sort of as the guide to get you on track, doesn't make me feel like I'm a cat anymore, where the first hour or 45 minutes I really felt like I was just a cat catting about and like knocking things over, but also like cats like people or like other things that are living and want to be around them. He says, looking at his yowly thing. And that would give you an explanation why you would end up seeking out the robots and seeing if they had food or treats or whatever. But like, this is an
incredibly sentient cat.
Well, yeah, but the premise smart. Is that you're a stray, you're a rando cat who fell into this situation. But if you, like, at least it really feels like you are a magic cat, because suddenly you can do and understand more. Or the premise is that all cats can. But then, the way you interact with your cat pals was very instinctual, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
and so it feels
it's like real life. Like, cats are our owners. We don't own them.
No, yeah, right. But then why am I fucking around?
They
getting
just
people
act
shit?
Stupid. They act stupid.
Yeah, but in real,
fed and petted.
Yeah, but
they're really the Illuminati. In the background.
But you're making my point for me, Lucy, because if cats are the ones in the background pulling the strings, why am I doing all this work directly and fetching things? Like,
I'm chatting absolute bollocks. So I just like there's a cat who's really smart. I'm not thinking about it.
I said it was my only niggling thing, right?
I'm just like, you think of games in a completely different format to me, where critically assess them. I'm like, cat move funny, like cat. And you're like, well, why is this cat?
I mean, it's mostly because so much of the first chunk of the game felt like I was just a cat catting about, and then I think when I stopped the stream, and of course I was also being a little more analytical because I was like talking about it to viewers. But it was like, oh, I lost that
absolutely.
bit, right? I mean,
Aadil,
moving around still felt like catting, but the objectives and the things I was doing didn't, and it was just kind of like, oh, that's a weird disconnect. And no spoilers, but does it?
I just gonna say that there's like 54,000 like reviews on Steam. You're one of these people who write the very in depth, like, this is the gameplay, this is the thing.
I'm still gonna.
I'm just one of the reviews. I'm one of the reviews who are like, cat good.
Yeah,
that is me.
Cat good, pet cat.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry.
Does it kind of
address that, or do you have more sort of cat-like, less like cat-based tasking? I don't know how to.
No. It stays how we're describing it. I think the inclusion of B12 is they've done it for gameplay purposes.
I get it.
There's the idea that B12 has a torch. And so you can see in sort of darker places. You know, they wanted something else, some kind of tool to help build some gameplay around this very, you're just a cat bowling about, exploring places, which would have been fine if that was just everything. But the problem is with B12 is that they make it, because B12 has like a voice as such and can talk to the robots and translates for the cat, and somehow the cat's kind of like, oh yeah, I know what B12 is saying, rather than just being like, shrug. I'll follow floaty, you know, robot thing along. It makes the story a bit more human, and it takes it away from being cool cat exploring this post-apocalyptic or post rebuilt in human image apocalypse into a very human setting.
Yeah, it's absolutely
by removing all of the humans, it's made it very human.
Yeah. I mean, the cat is just the vehicle through which you're experiencing this very typical, but like very, very common human cyberpunk-esque story.
Yeah, rather than experiencing a cat story.
Yeah, and I think there's limitations on having a game that's just centered around a cat. I mean, there have been games that it's like cat simulator, but it's like those are just like very, very thin in terms of their, you know, ideas and the limitations of genuinely being an animal. I mean, even something like The Last Guardian, which you hated, Ben, it's like about being a cat dog, and it's mostly about the human trying to control the cat dog. Yeah.
Oh man, the worst moving bird dog fucking bird dog. Fuck off.
Bird dog.
God damn. Don't remind me of that game. Fucking hell.
Sorry. But yeah, it's like there's only so much you can do in terms of like having a story like centered about being a cat and the cat experience without that being a 30-minute experience and getting old and boring. So I let me be clear, this game isn't amazing, but it's you don't have to be amazing to be, if you're the first one out the gate to do it, which is the first game that I can remember that has a very, you know, realistic cat animation, cat physics. It just makes it good in that sense, where it's like we've never had anything like this before. But there's obviously going to be limitations into what you can do with that, because it's just a cat, you know?
It almost makes it a little bit kind of like kitsch, doesn't it? Rather than, you know, an amazing experience. And I think it's one that lots of people will gravitate towards, because people love cats, and it's very accessible in terms of sort of what you're doing for lots of different ages as well. There's a little bit more, not kind of like, again, there's no high-level puzzles or anything like that. It's all kind of very environmental in those sorts of things. And if you explore enough, you will find what you need to do to progress. So there's no sort of big barrier to entry in terms of skill or anything to play the game, which I think, again, is very good.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with...
You're right, Lucy. They needed that extra bit to kind of be able to push a story. It's just a shame that it just shifts the focus a little bit too much.
Yeah, I was just going to add that, like, the smartest thing they did was to make it a prompt-based platformer, as in you go to a place, you push, it says push A, jump, because it means that I'm sure there's places they may have forgot to put a prompt, because that's just how programming works, so you have less access. But there's a lot of places there's like, jump on the bucket. Okay, now I'm on the bucket. There's nowhere to go. Like, it's not that railroady, because there's a lot of places you can, like, check out.
Yeah.
But by making it like that, it's more accessible. But also, part of what's nice about when you see cats move around is, yes, sometimes they fall, but most of the time they're very good at getting to where they need to be.
Or like the cats that come around my house, they go in a tree and then they climb too far up the tree.
Oh yeah, well there's that.
Trying to get a bird, and then they're like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, I mean, besides the second biggest need for firemen. But like it makes you feel much more like you are a cat, because you're just hopping around, wandering about, being a cat. And if you had to time these things and failed and stuff, it would be way less immersive in that way. And also it happens to also be accessible. So I think it's like it's a 1-2 punch of. The first as I saw it, I was like, oh, I kind of want open world as a cat. It's like, oh, but actually open world moving well as a cat with a controller is going to be really hard, or at least more challenging. And then I think the trade-off of like harder gameplay isn't worth the loss of immersion, because again, it's not supposed to be a platformer. It wouldn't make sense to like, oh, I need to go there. I have to do 3 jumps and I screw one up and I just need to get this friggin' into this window to get something to give to a guy because I'm doing a fetch quest, because it's an adventure game. Like, it makes sense to have that fluidity.
I went in with 0 expectations, because, well, not expectations, but I didn't know anything about it. It's like I saw the trailer a year ago or something like that, and it was like, you play as a cat, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't look at any coverage before that, but I think some of the common sentiment, as you said, Aadil, is believing that this is more open, or an open world game. I was like,
I mean, it is pretty open.
Yeah, but I think so, just from what I've heard of, like listening to podcasts, I think people were like, I thought this was like the open world cat game where I can become a cat and sire kittens or something like that. I don't know. It's like with The Witcher with cats, or Skyrim with cats. It's just like, I don't know where you got
they
that
never
idea
claimed
from,
that,
but I'm
like,
sure.
Yeah.
Did I miss some coverage? Yeah. Instead of the car Fiji, yeah.
One of the things as well, again, that keeps it very accessible is it's an adventure game, but they haven't tacked on any other stuff. Like the RPGification of almost every genre that exists, with leveling up and gear and all of this kind of stuff.
I don't want
they haven't done that here, which is great. It's certainly not, put 3 points into jumps because there's 2 paths, and if you've got your points into jumps, it's easier to go this way, and if you haven't, you've got your points into meow louder, you can go this way instead. Whatever cats get better at over time. If you put all of your points into sleeping, you just never escape the city, just sleep forever.
But you die contented, so...
Yes, exactly. You're very, very happy. It doesn't try to do too much, I think. They've kept the scope quite limited, which is good. It makes it accessible. But even with that limitation, there's still a few bits in there that I didn't quite gel with, like the sort of the way that it makes it a little too human in terms of sort of what you're looking to do. But I can understand why they've done that. There's sort of I'd like to talk about the end, but I think we can do that once you've either finished it or you get to a point where you don't care anymore.
Yeah.
With all of the other games that exist.
I care about I'm super enjoying it at the moment. As I say, not for anything differently soon with the gameplay or story. Just enjoying being in that world. And I think I really wonder how big this team is, because the world is so very well realized.
It's
the graphics
tiny.
Are great.
It is tiny.
I mean,
what are they called again?
That's super impressive.
Blue 12, I think they're called.
I mean, that's super impressive. I mean, I'm sure, was it Annapurna? Put bit of money into this game. It's probably like, this is going to do well. People like cats. you know. So it's like, and I'm glad it's done well because you know it's obviously a game made with a lot of heart for people who like cats, and you know I'm a cat lover myself. So, but yeah, it's just it's enjoyable. It's like you know, I like eating. I don't know, give me a nice cuisine now. Then that's just like fish and chips. It's probably not good for me if I have it all the time, but just having that like nice meal of fish and chips. I haven't had this in a long time. I haven't had a little adventure game that just does one thing, does it pretty well, that's real good. It'll be over before I know it, which is good, so it won't stick up, you know, around longer than it's welcome. And it's like, yes, it's just like comfort food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I can't ask for anything more than that for £20. So.
And that's it, like a good sort of 10-hour, 8-hour experience, depending on how much you kind of explore and what you kind of get up to. It's a nice kind of palate cleanser as well. Like if you're coming off of a big game, you know, and I think it was when did God of War come out? 2018. After that, I was kind of very like I don't know what to play now. Yeah. I'm done. This would have been a perfect game to have played. It gives you still that third person kind of open world sense of movement, almost as much as God of War does in terms of being an area and that being a little bit more kind of open. It's very similarly structured to that, actually.
It's like what Uncharted should be like, but Uncharted's just bloated out into like a 25-hour game when it doesn't have
at least
to
the
be.
Fourth one was,
yeah, when it doesn't have to be, you know, just something way more pared back. This is what
completely.
Imagine getting like an Uncharted game like every 2 or 3 years or something like that, and just it being 8 hours and just good.
I would love for them to just pump out every 3 years a new Lost Legacy sized game. Perfect.
Which is secretly one of the best in the series. Yeah.
Don't need to worry about Nathan anymore. Pick another pairing. Pick some of the baddies. Pick whoever you want in that universe. They've got a very, very rich set of characters to be able to kind of draw on.
Or even like The Last of Us or something like that, you know.
Exactly.
Or a different IP altogether. Just something small and concise, and Lost Legacy is so good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Stray. Absolutely. Will it be my favourite game this year? No, because there's already games that I've played which I have enjoyed more. But it is a lovely little palate cleanser. It's an easy, very accessible game to play. And I enjoyed pretty much my entire time with it.
I mean, you can't say that about every game you play. So I think also sometimes people forget that the primary purpose of games is entertainment. Like,
yes,
expecting it to do all the things because you were hyped about the idea of a cat and playing as a cat and also Cyberpunk, and then it doing those things but not in the way that you wanted is just slow down.
Yeah.
Will you finish it, Aadil? Do you think you'll finish it? Do you think you'll finish it?
Yeah, I mean,
seem the coolest.
Sorry?
Between me and you seem the coolest on it.
Like, I'm not. I enjoyed. I wanted to. That's why I said my one small thing that bothered me. It didn't make me not enjoy the game. It's just I realized that I was really into that first thing. And the second thing I was still enjoying, and I want to finish. And
I don't know. I don't know how much you could have just like rubbed up against your like cat companions and done that for 8 hours.
Oh no! I mean, I mean the shift from cat to human perspective. Yeah. That's the thing that I would not. I don't want to just play in a cat playground. Although now you say that, it doesn't sound terrible. But like, I thought it would be like an adventure game, which made sense from a cat's point of view, and this is like, I'm a lost cat. You know what lost cats do? They make themselves home in a new place, like, because that's where they are now, because they're animals.
I feel this cat will do this. I feel. As you say, Ben, you don't want to spoil the ending, but I see as they get to the surface, his cat friends are meowing up there, and he's like, "No, I want to stay with the cool human robots and play dominoes or something." I don't know.
Smash the mahjong table up.
Yeah, even though none of them have like fed him at this point.
Yes, no one's fed him at all. Lots of water.
Like, what the hell?
To drink, but yeah.
Do they have food? I don't know. They're robots. Just eat a jerk. They look like very high in fat and gelatinous.
Oh, they do.
You do.
Maybe
I
I have to
can't-
stew them down.
I can't remember how early on you find out. You do find out where they come from, like what they are, why they have evolved in that way as well. So yeah, we will talk about the ending at some point.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I think I should be finished by maybe next week. Because I'm enjoying it.
Cool.
Just sitting down from Steam Deck every night.
Nice.
I mean, it's such a pretty world. That's the only reason why I'm not like super jealous of you playing it on the Steam Deck. Like me playing it on this 40-something inch television is great. Like this,
Good way to go, yeah.
This not the most color accurate display, but like it can do vibrance mode, and it's got a crap refresh rate because it's a TV, but like that doesn't matter in this game. I have to A when the little prompt comes up.
I was thinking maybe because you can do chapter select, maybe if I miss any like collectibles or something like that, I'll just fry it up on PC and play it that way. But,
I haven't. It's something I was thinking about, kind of writing something about it, but it might be saved for a big old paragraph in the Dad blog I do kind of next month. It's definitely a game that I would have previously tried to platinum and got all the collectibles because it is that short and it's nice and there's lots of lovely little things to do. It's like platinum, put a ball in the basket, like that kind of stuff, you know. And it's I would imagine, a very easy kind of platinum to do.
Yeah,
it's something that I would have chased. Now, zero time now to do that.
I was thinking it would be like a great game for like Evelyn to play, because like she's what, 6 now?
Yes,
yeah. So and as long as the lyrics aren't too scary, I thought it's just like like
I mean, even if not to kind of like fully play through, but just get her to that
like
that first area and just let her explore. Nice, cool.
Complete aside, just before we go off, everyone go play Into the Breach on iPad. Place to play. It's very good. But we'll might talk about.
I don't have an iPad. Can I play it on something else?
You can play it on your phone.
Oh,
maybe a bit small.
But you're saying touch wise. Play it as a touch game. Is that the?
I can't remember if it had touch controls on Switch, but I know that the tactile feedback on the Switch.
Oh, I would never play a touch game
anyway.
I just meant like. I mean, I originally played it on the PC.
Yeah, I mean, PC's the best place to play it because there's been more than one time where I've accidentally, swiped one thing and it's like, I didn't mean to do that. Thank God there's an undo button. But, at least on easy mode, that's what I'm playing on currently. Yeah. But yeah, it's just rekindled, like, how good that game is. And it's just, I never put the time into it in 2018, I think it came out. Because, I wanted to see what Aadil thought of it and why he really loved it so much. And it was towards the end of the year, so it was like, okay, I played it, I see it, I get it, it's very good. I never put more time into it after that, but now I can. So I'm like,
it's also free through Netflix.
Well, that's how I'm playing it.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was... Right. I guess we might have talked about this, mentioned it last week on the second episode.
Sorry, yeah. I don't know if it's just available to buy.
Like
I would imagine so.
On the App Store, you mean?
Yeah.
It might. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was what they. I
know the update's free for everything else it came to. I just don't know if there's any other way to play it on mobile other than via through Netflix. Actually, having a Netflix account.
When I search it on the Play Store. The only one that comes up is Netflix Into the Breach, which I can just instantly install because I guess my accounts are linked together. So I don't know. I can't give you any more information.
Yeah, I don't think it is. So borrow your friend's Netflix, which I am, and play it on theirs because I play several games. At Pointy, I play through my friend's Netflix.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to round us out because I've got to go.
I was just gonna say
on the horizon that needs to be delivered.
Sorry. Yeah, my side was more.
I have nothing more to report on my beer. It was the beer.
No, mine is very good. 5.8%. I think I'm feeling it for some reason.
I mean, it is earlier in the day.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. I'm not used to it. But yes, very good. Piney, nice bit of fruit, nice bit of bitterness. Very good. Well done.
Nice. I assume keep tuning in, everyone, for the next episode for Lucy
Are we
talking
doing
about whatever the next game is going. Whoa.
Are we doing it next episode?
The beer just settled into
we can talk about that after we let Ben go because he's
okay.
We've been Tanked Up. You can reach us at tankedupcast@gmail.com or tankedupcast on the Instagrams and Twitters. We're part of the Out of Lives Network, where this and VODs of like my first hours with Stray and all kinds of pop culture ephemera articles are on, including the aforementioned Dad blog. But if you want to talk to Ben specifically about the Dad blog, you can reach him at
Nova_47
and Lucy at
Juicy Loose 9
for her non-existent not mom blog.
I'm
coming
not a dad
soon.
or a mom.
Fortunately.
Fortunately.
And I'm at the Omniarch, and we've been Tanked Up. That's it. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
www.outoflives.net